Check out monorail.com, America's affordable investment app, made for conservatives who want to keep their hard-earned money with companies that share their values. Download the Monorail app today. Join Monorail.
Our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dennis Prager Show. The last 2 weeks of each year are my favorite 2 weeks of the year. I hope you feel similarly. If not, I wonder, what are your 2 favorite weeks? What else could there be if not the last 2 weeks? And it's hard to believe 2022 is coming to an end. The speed is breathtaking. And I welcome you to the show. I hope you had a good weekend. I was in Phoenix all weekend, and I want to salute Charlie Kirk, my friend and colleague. Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, had his America Fest, AmFest, and I was one of the speakers. I spoke each day, culminating, I think he had about, 10,000 people there, mostly students. It was an extraordinary convocation. Tucker Carlson spoke. I drove over yesterday with a number of these terrific people. It was really quite something for these kids and for any of the adults who attended. And I didn't speak about politics. I knew that so many would. Don Jr. was there as well. And I knew so many people would. And I was tempted to, but I decided to speak just on ideas for them to have a better life. And I might, in the course of this week, review the talk that I gave. You can see it. TPUSA has put it up, all the speakers, so you can see mine. I try to summarize in, 25 minutes or 20 minutes. We were all allotted a very specific amount of time. And I know that they reacted positively to having something that was not specifically political, and they certainly need to hear the political. But there is more to life, and in fact, the non-political is the root of the political. I realized this when I was in graduate school, that people came to their positions overwhelmingly for psychological reasons, not because they had thought through all the alternatives. I'll give you one example. If you are raised by a helicopter parent, the odds, I've seen no quote-unquote study on this, but my view of studies has always been they either confirm what common sense suggests or they're wrong. So it doesn't matter to me that there are no quote-unquote studies. I don't even know if you can have one. But I am convinced that if you were raised by a helicopter parent or parents, you are much more likely to be left of center than right of center. And why? Why? Because you think life should treat you well at all times. That you don't have to make heroic efforts on behalf of your own life. The helicopter parent is so damaging that it's only rivaled by the hypochondriac parent, whom we have seen in force the last 2 years. Yes, let's inoculate, let's vaccinate our 5-year-old. Let's make sure the 2-year-old wears a mask. The damage that these parents did is incalculable, in some cases indescribable. But the helicopter parent has ruined 2 generations now, at least. I don't know when it came in. Might have come in already beginning with the World War II parents. I don't know. I know if there's such a thing as a helicopter parent, how would I describe my parents? I would describe tank. If I had to give a mode of a vehicle, I would say they were more like tanks than helicopters. And I am the better for it. It had an emotional pain at times. When I was very young, starting high school, there was no emotional pain. But it did. I even said to the thousands I spoke to yesterday in Phoenix that my father telling me repeatedly that I was lazy had a good impact on me, because I was. It's as simple as that. And now that I look back at my life, I have been compensating or overcoming or working against my nature, which, as I told, 7,000 students yesterday, that's the only way you'll have a good life. It's the only way you'll get anywhere in life is to overcome your nature. How many people tell their kids that? How many teachers tell their students that? How many clergy tell their flock that? When do you ever hear that? Your greatest battle is with your nature. That's the opposite of a helicopter parent. So, a thought on that subject. I got to it because I said that people come to their positions for psychological reasons, not moral or rational reasons, but psychological reasons. Why do so many more women, according to the latest poll, reported by USA Today, so it was not a conservative poll, women overwhelmingly do not believe in free speech. Men by large majority, not overwhelmingly, but by a large majority, do believe in free speech. It's a very interesting thing for me to observe the children of the left. Every leftist is a child. Not every liberal, but every leftist. And they go ballistic when I say anything about the disproportionate impact of women on our society. You can attack men all you like. You can lie about men, which the left does routinely. But you cannot say anything but praise to women. So what we have here is the women who have been weakened by feminism. Feminism has produced weak women for now 3 generations. Because you're a CEO does not make you strong. It just makes you a CEO. And it has feminized men who cannot stand up to women, who are intimidated by women, who join the sheep in attacking men and then think that they are heroic in defending women against any criticism. Women are not criticizable for the left. No group except white, Christian, heterosexual males. No other. They're the only group that you can criticize, and you can criticize that group with all the lies that you wish. So it's an overview of our society at the end of 2022. I'm Dennis Prager, 1-8-Prager-776.
The Dennis Prager Show.
Epic TV is a censorship-free video platform with original news programs like Crossroads, The Larry Elder Show, Facts Matter, American thought leaders, and documentaries investigating critical issues that are not covered elsewhere. Why do we trust the Epic Times? They're unbiased. They report important news that other media ignore. They focus on clear, fact-based journalism without spin or hidden agendas. They're truthful. They report just the facts. And trust their discerning viewers to arrive at your own conclusions. They're resilient, despite the attacks from thugs burning their printing presses and assaulting their journalists. The Epoch Times continues to dedicate itself to reporting the truth. If you're looking for an unbiased, truthful, and resilient news source, check them out today. We have a special offer for our viewers. Just sign up and start watching. No credit card required, no strings attached. If you decide to subscribe within 14 days, it's just $1 for 2 months. So watch Epoch, epoch.com/Dennis. That's watch epoch.com/Dennis and subscribe. About, by the way, Christmas and Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. This is the first day of Hanukkah. Last night was the first night. Jewish days and holidays, therefore, begin at night. And you might wonder why. Why not at midnight? Begins at sunset. The day begins at sunset. So Jewish holidays begin on the evening, which is confusing to people, because if you say, what's the first day of Hanukkah? Is it yesterday or is it today? Sean, I know, when the first thing he told me is he couldn't sleep last night. Which is the first day of Hanukkah, he said to me. Just not aware, which is understandable. And by the way, a light is lit for each day. You know that Hanukkah preserved monotheism? People think of it as a lovely day, and it is lovely 8 days. Is celebrating the miracle of oil that was supposed to light the candelabra for 1 day and lasted for 8 days. All of that is true about the origins of Hanukkah. But Hanukkah was the revolt against a Greek ruler, Antiochus Epiphanes. Antiochus, God incarnate, if you will, to translate Epiphanes. And his war was against Judaism. He wanted to wipe it out. He didn't hate Jews, he hated Judaism. So if the Jews stopped practicing Judaism, he did not persecute him. But if the Jews did anything, if they kept the Sabbath, if they went to the temple, if they circumcised their eight-day-old boys, then they would be often killed. And they revolted against this. The Jews revolted. And you have the preservation of monotheism. In some senses, one could argue Hanukkah is the most important holiday in terms, Jewish holiday in terms of the world, because had the Jews lost and Judaism died, well, who knows what there would have been. The pagans would have won. Monotheism, specifically ethical monotheism, is the essence of the Jewish faith, that there is a God who is good and demands that we be good and judges us by our behavior. That is Judaism in a nutshell. Anyway, I would like to remind you that a truly I'm hesitating because you'll understand in a moment why I'm hesitating. I'm self-conscious about this, but I shouldn't be devoting my life to this for idealistic reasons. But if you give any one of the 3 or all 3 volumes of my Bible commentary thus far published, Deuteronomy just came out in October, it is a beautiful gift, partially because the book is so beautifully printed. It is a gorgeous hardcover book, and it has my life's work in it. You can get an autographed copy through the Prager store. You can get it overnight from Amazon or wherever you order your books. By the way, for those of you who ordered an autographed copy from the Prager store, I take full responsibility for your not getting it immediately, as you should have. But I didn't realize how many I had to sign. I was oblivious. I signed 2,000 over the course of the weekend. So you will be getting it before Christmas and during Hanukkah. But it is a very beautiful gift, and it's good for yourself. We need an intellectual, rational, utterly life-absorbing introduction to religion, even if we're religious. If the religious Jew and religious Christian had effectively transmitted to their children what religion is about, what God is about, what the Bible is about, we would not have the crisis of so many young people who say that they are none, N-O-N-E, no religion. It is the result of a radically secular, anti-religious society, and it is a result of parents and teachers not knowing how to make the case for the indispensability of God and the Bible in their lives. That's what I do, and I explain everything. I mean everything. I explain virtually every one of 240 laws in Deuteronomy. And by the way, Deuteronomy was the most quoted book by the founders of the United States, more than any secular book, more than any religious book. It was the book most cited by Jesus, except for Psalms. It's a very, very important book, even though the vast majority of Americans cannot spell Deuteronomy. Sean, spell Deuteronomy. Hello, Sean. Spell Deuteronomy. Wait, you're cheating. The guy is cheating on a biblical book. I can't believe that. Folks, if you would... Okay, he's up to T. Yeah, okay, fine. Yes, D-E-T-otomy. Okay. Very close. Not only no cigar, no cigars for a year. Oh, God, it's funny. By the way, yeah, I'm fooling around with Sean, but I'm telling you, I would be shocked if 25% of the students at Harvard could spell Deuteronomy. I would be shocked if 50% of the students at Harvard knew what Deuteronomy was. But they certainly know preferred pronouns, and they know how to spell systemic racism. Oh, no two ways about that. And transphobia. Oh, my God, they could spell that backwards. It's a sick world in our universities. Sick. Proof coming up. So it's a great gift. You could still get it in time. My Rational Bible. MyPillow is excited to bring you their biggest bedding sale ever, and just in time for Christmas. For a limited time, get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. They also have blankets in a variety of sizes, colors, and styles. They even have blankets for your pets. Get duvets, quilts, down comforters, body pillows, bolster pillows, and so much more, all with the biggest discounts of the year happening now. They're also extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1st, 2023, making them the perfect gifts for your friends, your family, and everyone you know. So go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code Prager, or call 800-761-6302. You'll get huge discounts on all MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all your shopping done now while quantities last. Hi there, everybody. Dennis Prager with you. So, Bruce Bialowski writes about it's hard to believe, actually. It is, even for me, who knows how sick the left is, and it's true sick. If there's a better word, fine. Nihilistic is fine. So he writes about the legislature of California. Some of the bills they passed. One of these new laws caught my attention as being particularly odious. It could only be passed by a group of people completely devoid of any religion other than their god of climate change, previously known as global warming. Assembly Bill 351 was signed into law by Gavin Newsom. This equates human remains with coffee grinds and apple cores. Assemblywoman Cristina Garcia authored this bill, requiring the Cemetery and Funeral Bureau, part of the Department of Consumer Affairs, to regulate and license what is being called by the bucolic term natural organic reduction. Yes. NOR. Natural organic reduction. That's the new law in California. Humans will have the option of their remains becoming compost to be blended in with the garden mulch. Ms. Garcia wrote the bill because cremation creates massive amounts of carbon released into the air. She asserts 534 pounds per person. This amounts to 360 metric tons, in her opinion. Of course, no one asked how you get 534 pounds of carbon when the average American weighs 178 pounds. But okay, we'll leave it at that. Ms. Garcia defended the bill by stating, with climate change and sea level rise as very real threats to our environment, this is an alternative method of final disposition that will not contribute emissions into our atmosphere. For each individual who chooses NOR, what is that? Natural organic reduction. Yeah, I got to remember that. Over conventional burial or cremation, the process saves the equivalent of 1 metric ton of carbon from entering the environment. Unquote. Wow. He says, notice how she has upped the environmental benefit to a metric ton from 534 pounds. Don't think Ms. Garcia dreamt this up on her own. This was first enacted in Washington State in 2019, with Colorado following in 2021. Oregon and Vermont have followed. All left-wing states. These are run almost exclusively by Democrats who believe Armageddon is coming in 10 years, or is it 20 years, or is it the end of the century? The process involved and is estimated to cost between $4,000 and $5,500. You can bet that anyone who does not have a family making choices for them and are left for the state to decide will now be disposed of in this manner. No more Potter's Field. It is compost for you. The International Cemetery, Cremation, and Funeral Association, known as the Happy Group, I wrote that in, that was a joke, states that this on their website, quote, under these controlled conditions, the human body should pass through decomposition in about 4 to 6 weeks. The resulting, quote, soil, unquote, can be returned to the family or to a conservation entity. The resulting soil will be very nutrient-rich and make excellent fertilizer. Okay, there you go. So you could become compost. Why not? This is all the product of secularism. The whole nihilism of our time is the whole chaos, the moral confusion. Folks, if we're only physical beings, if we're not created in the image of God, then is there any argument against our becoming compost? None. Why are we different from fruit? The answer is we're not. The only difference between you and a pear is that you think you're important and pears don't.
It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought along some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down.
Hey everybody, Dennis Prager here. Wonderful to be with you. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. The two coincide this year because last night, today, first day of Hanukkah, next Sunday. They just barely overlap. It is the most Judeo-Christian country ever created. That's why it was the greatest country ever created. Right now, it is not the greatest country ever created. I don't know what's better. But for the first time in my life, and I never imagined I would think this way, the rot is so deep that in every elite institution that I cannot speak of America the way I did, but I fight for America the way I did. I continue to fight for it. Outside of my Bible commentary, my most important book is Think a Second Time. I hope they're all important, but I wrote a book, Still the Best Hope, why American values need to triumph. And that's, I didn't say America needs to triumph. I said American values need to triumph. It was a good choice of subtitle on my part. It is the greatest value system. In God we trust, liberty, e pluribus unum. That's the American Trinity. It's applicable to every country, as I explain in my book. It's called Still the Best Hope. It's the book that, before my Bible commentary, most influenced Julie Hartman to embrace conservative values. And now she's a wunderkind. Literally, wonder kid. You should all watch, by the way, Dennis and Julie. It comes out every week. We now have over 40. I've never co-hosted anything in my life, and it is so open about both our lives. And if your kids watched it too, because she's so young, she's 23, there's nothing like it. This is not to say there aren't great things out there, but there is nothing like Dennis and Julie. So check it out on YouTube to watch it, or at any place you listen to podcasts, including the Salem Podcast Network. Is that right, Sean? Salem Podcast Network? Yeah. San Francisco mayor warns crime-ridden city now faces a $728 million budget deficit over the next 2 years as remote work caused property taxes and public transit ridership to slump. Well, that's not to mention the amount of crime. The Daily Mail shows how crime has risen in this year compared to last year, but that's stupid. What you need to do is show how it has risen in every city in this year compared to pre-lockdown. What was the crime rate in 2019? That would be the thing, not 2021, because it was so much higher in 2021. People vote for the party that destroys their cities. It shows you what I began the show with, that politics comes from psychology. In most people's cases, not from rational inquiry into what is better. And the left is a follow the heart movement. Can't think of a stupider idea. There are many tied with it for stupid ideas, but I can't think of a stupider one than follow your heart. Maybe I should do a series of examples of how leftism and Judeo-Christian values are opposites. Here's where you might start. The heart is not trusted in the Bible. The heart is the source of commitment, of values for the left. Follow your heart is the opposite. In fact, as Deuteronomy notes, my latest, I think it's in Deuteronomy, my latest volume of my Rational Bible, don't follow your heart or your eyes, after which you prostitute yourselves. Very few people translate it accurately because they find the Hebrew too offensive. You have no idea how even translations of the Bible have been intoxicated by liberalism and leftism. They don't like, for example, it says fear your mother and father. They translate it as revere your mother and father. Sorry, you may not like what it says, but it says that. Now, it shouldn't be fear your mother and father. They'll beat you to a pulp, or you will be hurt by them in some unjust way. But if you don't have a healthy fear of parents, what happens? You run amok. Fear of parents is the reason that most people gave me when I asked them, why didn't you take drugs in high school? Because my mother would kill me. That's a healthy fear of a parent. I used to ask my dad, what is the biggest difference between America today? My father grew up in the 20s and 30s. 100 years ago, when you think of it. It's amazing. Well, he was 100 years ago. He's not with us, of course, but he was born in 1918, and he said the greatest difference, he would every time I asked him, because I had him on for many years on his birthday, July, and I would ask him, greatest difference, Dad, between America today and America when you grew up? And he always had the same answer. Parents fear their kids. The kids run the house. I began the show with the psychological foundations, the psychological roots, like helicopter parents, of leftism. That is correct. We ought to talk about that. Were you raised by helicopter parents? What impact did that have on you? Are you a senior living off your retirement savings just to get by? Are high inflation and poorly performing markets depleting your retirement accounts? What if you didn't have to struggle to pay bills, mortgage, property taxes, and insurance ever again? Contact Andrew Del Rey and Todd Avakian at andrewandtodd.com. Get cash by tapping into the equity of your home tax-free and eliminate your monthly mortgage payment forever with a reverse mortgage. You maintain ownership of your home and pay the loan back when you don't live there anymore. You keep your retirement money working for you, get cash from the equity in your home, maintain ownership and the equity growth, and never pay another mortgage payment again. Go to andrewandtodd.com, fill out the short form online, and see if a reverse mortgage is the right solution for you. Call 888-888-1172, 888-888-1172, or go online to andrewandtodd.com. That's andrewandtodd.com.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. The last 2 weeks of the year, I really love. I'm in a different mood. Something really special. People can relax. Or so I feel. And I love the Christmas spirit in the country. My religious observance is Hanukkah, but my national observance is national holidays. And I join my nation in the spirit of this period of time. So I have a question for you, since I like to explore life as much as I like to talk about current events. Both are necessary. So, for many of you, it will be finally a Christmas together. For some, it will be a Hanukkah together. But for most, it'll be a Christmas together with people that Christmas of 2020, Christmas of 2021, you listened to the fools who govern public health, staggering fools. I disobeyed them from almost the beginning. I wrote in April 2020 that this was a dress rehearsal for a police state, and I was right. Unfortunately, I was 100% right. So I didn't miss any Hanukkah, and I didn't miss any Shabbat. I think I missed 2. By the 3rd, I was back with my group of about 12 with whom I have Shabbat dinner every week. And it was glorious. I had almost a normal life. I couldn't do what I couldn't do. I came into work. I didn't wear a mask. I lived life. I didn't live death. So now that you're having Christmas together, whether it's the first or second time after the origins of the lockdowns, what will it be like? First of all, I have a question. Is there anybody you will not be seeing? Either they're not coming to you, you're not going to them, or the two of you are not going to a third party. Is there anybody you will not be seeing? I'm not talking about who died. For political reasons, is there anybody you will not be seeing because of political differences that came to the fore in the last 2 years, or 3 years, or maybe 4 even, going back into the Trump administration? 1-8-Prager-776-877-243-7776. I call my radio show my human laboratory. I get to explore the human condition because there are so many of you, and I get such a diversity of reactions, answers to my questions. So I am so curious. Is there anybody you won't be seeing who for most of your life you did see for Christmas, or if you will, Hanukkah? That's my question. I do wonder. And how does that affect you? Is there a foreboding with the coming holiday? Is there a foreboding? Oh my God. I'm going to see my brother-in-law who thinks that sex is non-binary, who has really bought the world-destroying theories of the left, the lies of the left. So what is your psychological state, your emotional state with regard to you guys getting together? This fascinates me, and it's very important. 1-8-Prager-776. I'm going to let go of some of those from last hour, so forgive me. What's going to be in your home or the home that you visit? All right. Actually, I'm going to take this while people call in. Marcia in Santa Monica, California. Hello.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi.
I'm calling to make a request that you continue and have it this season, your hour on Santa Claus, and that you talk to parents about the importance of having their kids believe in Santa Claus.
Thank you for reminding me. I promise to do that. I do it. You're right. I've done it so often, and I should do it this year, and I will. Yeah, it's really something, isn't it? I'll bet most of the people opposed to Santa Claus in their home all do believe that there are more than 2 genders. See? It's really fascinating. They're really adamant about not fooling their children with regard to Santa Claus. but fooling their children with regard to something slightly more substantive, that sex is a purely subjective state and there are dozens of such states, that's fine. Isn't that interesting? Santa Claus is forbidden, but non-binary choices for whom you are, boy or girl, that's perfectly legit. That's objectively true. As I said, for many times, the human being needs non-rational things in his or her life. Religion has provided a safe valve, a safe expression for the non-rational. Now, my own belief is that religion should be rational, but that's beside the point. So I call my work the Rational Bible. I use reason to come to God and the Bible. However, there is room for it. Now, I have non-provable religious beliefs. I don't know if I have any non-rational religious beliefs. I believe that Moses received the Ten Commandments from God. That's not provable, but it isn't non-rational. I don't know what would make it non-rational. If everything that couldn't be proven were irrational, well, then, what is provable? It's a very tough question to answer outside of mathematical formulae or physics formulae, or formulas, if you prefer. It's hard to say. So I am going to do that, yes. People who think that they're doing their children a service by denying them Santa Claus, people who have Christmas, talking specifically, obviously. Did you grow up to think, oh, your parents introduced Santa Claus into your life, or they didn't get rid of it, and that has harmed you as an adult? Periodically I will get a call, when I realized there was no Santa Claus, then I realized maybe the whole thing is fake. There's something wrong with you if you came to that conclusion. There's nothing wrong with Santa. It's like saying, when I realized there was no tooth fairy, I knew dentistry was fake. Okay, let's see what you have to say. So I'm not going to do Santa Claus. Let me tell you guys back there. I'm going to ask Sid in Fort Worth to call me the day I cover that. So I'm going to open up that line, and we're going to take your calls. What is it going to be like, and who's missing? I don't mean from death, but from political difference. Are you worried even about what Christmas dinner will be like? Or Hanukkah get-together? I'm Dennis Prager. We continue.
ושם תודה נזבח לעת תכין מטבח
מצר המנבח אז אגמור בשיר מזמור חנוכת המזבח. Aha, you didn't know that? This is the nicest of the Hanukkah songs. There's not a big trove, I must say, but it is beauty. Added to, there's nothing quite like what America produced for Christmas songs. It's been unique, I think. All right, everybody, 1-8-PRAGER-776. Who's going to be missing from your Christmas dinner because of politics? and related aspects. Bruce, Las Vegas, hello.
Hello, Dennis.
Hi.
Nice to talk to you again. The last time we spoke was 22 years ago, and it was in the Flax store in Westwood.
Oh, so it's not online. We actually met in person.
Yes, it was. And I'd like to tell your audience you were there to meditate over the pen selection.
Yeah, I love pens. I just got another one.
So who I will not be seeing this Christmas at the Christmas family party is my grandchildren, because I have been asked not to come to the party, my wife and I. My son has taken the side of my leftist daughter-in-law and her family that I may say something that would not be conducive to the time of year and the spirit of Christmas if I were to be there.
Well, I'm trying to actually hold back my fury because I don't want to make you feel worse.
Yes. So, unfortunately, it is what it is. And
do you have any other children?
I do. However, they will all be at the family party as well.
And have you spoken to them about the boycotting of you?
Well, the other two are my daughters, and one of them is left, and the other one is caught in the middle because she has really nowhere else to go and knows that she does not want to be excluded.
Oh, she's not married?
Yeah, correct.
And the other daughter is married?
Yes.
And she supports your other daughter-in-law?
She is a hard left person, has been for years.
So where are you going to be?
Well, I'll be at home with my wife, and we'll maintain a positive mental attitude. And,
how about friends? I'm
relatively new to the area here, and my friends, since I've moved a couple of times, I haven't had really time to establish close friends here where I am. Mm-hmm. But you maintain a positive attitude.
That's right. You must. That's correct.
You try.
So I'm curious. Can you see your grandchildren other times of the year?
Occasionally. I have 6 grandchildren. My eldest daughter, who is the hard leftist, has been for many years. I cannot see them. I only hear from her twice a year, and that's in Christmas if I'm invited, or perhaps during the year if there's something else going on. So I have no contact with them. And as to the children of my son, it has been reduced down to a very minimum now.
Well, I'd like to give you a hug, and I wish you.
Thank you.
I wish you a Merry Christmas. As merry as you can make it, and you should make it merry. You need to find kindred spirits to support you. Did you all hear that call? Do you understand the viciousness of so many leftists? There have always been scum in America. Right, left, center. Every society has bad people. But at least in the post-World War II, we have not had such a movement of evil as we have on the left. It's evil what those children are doing to these parents. But of course, we don't need anything like the Ten Commandments, which says honor your father and mother. And for those who don't know the Hebrew, it actually has, even if you differ politically. I'm kidding. But that is, of course, the point. Wow. Do any conservative children not invite left-wing parents? What would you say the ratio is of left-wing children who don't invite right-wing parents to right-wing children who don't invite left-wing parents to their Christmas? Would you say it's 1,000 to 1? I would say it's probably 1,000 to 1. I've never even heard of the other example. There's so much to be learned from that fact. Maybe that's what my column should be. I didn't write my column yet. It's due in 5 hours, in 6 hours. But I often get the topics from the show. Maybe I should do that. One of the things to be learned from this is the need for commandments from God. Because otherwise you're your own God, and you decide when to honor your parents. They voted for Trump. They are unworthy of seeing their grandchildren. Lest he say something that is not in the spirit of the year. Whoa, that's a new one. I see. These are wimps. Every leftist is a wimp. They can't handle it. That's what it's about. We can handle their views. It doesn't shatter us. You think girls' breasts should be chopped off by surgeons because they think they're boys? We think it's evil, but you are allowed to say it at our dinner. Hey everybody, Dennis Prager here. So my question is, who's going to be missing, or will you be missing from Christmas dinner because of politics? Began with a man in Vegas whose son, because he's married to a left-wing woman, which is not redundant but is common, is not invited to see the grandchildren. As I said to him, I have to contain my fury. I don't want to make his what's the word, status, his mood. I don't want to make it worse. But look, I can't keep it back. I actually hate the boy. I don't want him to hate his boy. It's his boy. I hate him. I hate the daughter-in-law. There was a time when daughters-in-law worked hard actually to help mend their husbands' relations with their parents. That was in the bad old days when people took religion seriously. And a far healthier place than the sick, disgusting place the left has created. Can you think of a more vile thing than not allowing a parent to see grandchildren? Especially because of politics. I mean, short of murder, it's hard to imagine. But as the serpent said in the Garden of Eden, you eat from the tree, Eve, and you will be like God. You will know right and wrong. God will not be the one who knows right and wrong. You'll know right and wrong. That's what they did. They've eaten from the tree, and they think that they know right and wrong. You don't know a parent a damn thing unless you feel like it, because feelings are everything. Wow. Okay, let's see here. Wow. Valparaiso, Indiana. Jerry, hello.
Yes, Dennis, thank you for taking my call. You know what? You are the voice of calm to all the chaos out there, so I really appreciate listening to you.
Thank you.
Hey, listen, my brother and I have always had our differences in politically, but we've always respected our differences. But it all came to a head when the vaccine rollouts came out, and I said, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to participate. And he got all mad, saying that you need to believe in the science. I said, I believe in God, and the science will prove that God does exist. And he just would not have anything to do with me because he and his wife, because I'm not vaccinated, they think I'm the scourge, that I'm going to spread it. And so you just wait. You will have been lied to, and sure enough,
Yeah, they were lied to. But let me just say, I wish you would have said, I do believe in science. I don't believe in every scientist. You, my brother, believe in scientists. I believe in science. Saying you believe in God only reinforced his belief that if you believe in God, you don't believe in science.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
But look, I do this for a living, so I don't expect you to have the spot-on answer every time. So, but if it should ever arise, or even now, you should all do that. If you're ever told, and it's not a cute answer, it's the 100% honest answer. Who doesn't believe in science? I don't know a single religious person who doesn't believe in science. It's absurd. Do they not have bypass surgery if they need it? I mean, please. It's an absurdity that religious people don't believe in science. We don't believe that every scientist believes in science. You, who graduated college and are taught that you determine science by a vote of scientists, that's what you believe, which is completely unscientific. The consensus, like on global warming, yes, the consensus of sheep. Scientists are as much sheep as college professors and deans and presidents of colleges and New York Times reporters. It's the herd, it's sheep. You believe what the Prime Minister of New Zealand said. If you do not hear it from the government, it is not true. That's what they believe, not in science.
And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shine a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night.
I have a suspicion that in her life, Miranda Devine has never been introduced with this music. I don't think that's a gamble. Would you say, Miranda, would you say that is accurate?
Dennis, that is absolutely accurate, but I love it first time for everything.
Well, let me say this. I'm Jewish, and I think you love it more than I do.
Well, I'm just debating whether or not to go and see Fiddler on the Roof because it's in Yiddish, so I'm not quite sure.
Oh, that's right. You're
Yeah.
right. They're doing that in New York in Yiddish. That's right. Yes. Well,
Yes.
That's an interesting. I hear it's a great performance, but I don't know Yiddish either. I know Hebrew, and so I don't know if I would go. Although the songs are great. And I know the plot so well.
Right.
Exactly. Wait, is there any subtitles?
No, I mean it's a live performance.
Well, but at opera it's a live performance, and they have.
That's true.
They have.
Yeah.
They have.
I suppose, but it sort of takes a bit of the pleasure out of seeing a live performance, doesn't it? If your eyes are just focused on the words. But look, I know the story, as you say. I've seen the movie. Yeah, could work.
Right. Well, after this, maybe you'll see Macbeth in Yiddish. There you go. You'll have all these plays that you know.
Mel Gibson did his Jesus Christ.
All right, in Aramaic. Exactly.
Yeah.
And nobody knows that. It's very almost over.
Yeah.
Ironically, the woman who cuts my hair knows Aramaic. It's a very strange little.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
She's what is the Christian group in the Middle East that speaks Aramaic? Anyway, she does. Anyway, Miranda Devine, it is a delight to have you on, and Merry Christmas to you, and thank you for coming on. I have a question to all conservatives who live in New York. It seems to me, so people say the same thing to me in L.A., but there's a big difference, and I'll say it in a moment, but aren't you lonely?
Well, funnily enough, no, because, it's a big city, and so there are conservatives here, and we band together and hang out together, and I guess we're allied against a common foe, and we know we're on the right side because the city is falling down around our ears because of the Democrat rule. So I guess we sort of bask in a bit of virtue.
Okay, so you have, for good reason. By the way, let me just tell everybody, in case they don't know, you're a columnist for the New York Post. Your columns are mandatory reading. Her latest book is Laptop from Hell, Hunter Biden, Big Tech, and the Dirty Secrets the President Tried to Hide. So I want to talk to you about that, and I want to talk to you about what's coming out from Twitter, the revelations that are coming out of there. So what is the average informed conservative not aware of? Because the liberals are completely oblivious to the laptop issue. Or is that an incorrect statement? So I'll begin with that question. Does anybody left of center know what went on with the Biden laptop?
Well, they were gaslit before the 2020 election, lied to by 5 former CIA directors and acting directors, 51 former intelligence officials who said that it was Russian disinformation. It was had all the earmarks of a Russian information operation, and etc. So they just besmirched our reporting, and Twitter and Facebook censored the story, said it was hacked material, and so on. So Liberals who I've talked to just dismissed the story out of hand. They just thought ill of the New York Post for publishing it. Then 19 months later, when it became impossible to continue to ignore the laptop, so many revelations coming out. Hunter Biden himself is under investigation from the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, and the New York Times decided it needed to get out ahead of the story so that its readers didn't accuse it rightly of keeping them in the dark. So they published a story in which it was sort of buried on page 17 or something of B1, and in the 24th paragraph was a mention of the laptop and saying that they'd authenticated emails on it, seemed like it was real. And this was kind of a bombshell that landed in left-wing media land, and suddenly the Washington Post and NBC and CBS and everybody's catching up. But they all had a little boilerplate paragraph, which they still have now 9 months later, which says that Joe Biden, there's no evidence that he knew anything about this. And that's the whole point. That was what our story was about. That's what the laptop is about. That's the whole import of it. It's not just about some sad 50-year-old crackhead son of a vice president. It's about Joe Biden's complicity, his involvement, his knowledge of Hunter Biden and also Joe Biden's brother, Jim Biden, Hunter's uncle, their influence peddling operation that Joe Biden had been running out of Delaware to great effect for 40 years as a senator, and which he internationalized and industrialized when he was vice president. And there was millions of dollars coming in from China and Russia and Ukraine and Kazakhstan and Romania and you name it into Biden family coffers. And the story is about Joe Biden, and that's what the Republicans will be doing next year when they open investigations into the laptop saga. It's about Joe Biden and corruption at the highest level, and whether or not those millions of dollars have compromised him when it comes to particularly our greatest adversary, China.
Are you familiar, and if you are, do I have it right? The New York Times last week described the laptop as having been stolen?
Yes. Now, that's a very interesting pickup of yours because, again, it was just a little subtle...
so that's a lie, isn't it?
It's a lie. It wasn't stolen. But the stolen laptop story, this new narrative that's being crafted by Hunter Biden's sugar daddy, the entertainment lawyer who funded $2.8 million of his back taxes very generously, and who's now aligned with a guy called David Brock. You might remember from Media Matters, worked for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I remember him well.
Conservative apostate.
He theoretically started as a conservative.
Yes, and he's now apostate, and he's now, doing whatever he can to destroy conservatives, and on behalf of the Democrats. So he has this dark money group called Facts Matter, and their aim is to destroy anybody trying to bring out the truth about Joe Biden's corruption. And so they're doing Oppo research on the James Comer and Jim Jordan, the Republicans who are going to be running the committees investigating the Hunter Biden laptop. And one of the crazy narratives that Kevin Morris keeps trying to tell me is the truth, and they also go and they tell the New York Times, obviously it's worked with the New York Times, is that the laptop was stolen, that there's some crazy conspiracy theory he has that Hunter Biden, he's lost at least 3 laptops that we know of. There's the one that we had hold of, or that Rudy Giuliani.
But there isn't a shred of evidence that it was stolen.
There's not a shred of evidence, but they're making it up. They're saying that one of the laptops Hunter Biden left behind with his shrink, they're accusing the shrink of selling it or giving it away to Roger Stone, and, there's all these nefarious... It's just garbage. We have a complete chain of custody from Hunter Biden dropping the laptop off in April of 2019 at John Paul MacIsaac's computer repair shop around the corner from his house, and John Paul MacIsaac giving it to the FBI in December of 2019. There's receipts, there's Hunter Biden's signature, there's a subpoena from the FBI. I mean, their story doesn't hang together, but the New York Times, again, is so willing to accept these lies and then regurgitate it. And I think we saw the embryo in those 2 words, stolen laptop, of that narrative taking hold in the New York Times. And I think you'll see next year, when the Republicans start doing their inquiries, you'll have a ready-made defensive series of dirt files that'll come out in the New York Times and the Washington Post, CNN, etc., which will be attacking the Republicans, attacking
for
the New York
using
Post.
a stolen laptop. Back in a moment with Miranda Devine of the New York Post, her book, Laptop from Hell. My guest is Miranda Devine of the New York Post, latest book, Laptop from Hell. So it's not possible to answer this question definitively, Miranda, but your best hunch is, if everything had come out, had the New York Times and the rest of the left-wing press not suppressed it, do you think it would have changed the election in 2020?
Well, all I can go by, Dennis, is the polls, and the Media Research Centre has done a series of polls which show that, yes, it would have made a difference, that Biden voters said that if they had known about the corruption that we revealed from the laptop, that they would have changed their vote. I think it was something like 15% or 10% of them, and it was enough. In an election that was decided by 45,000 votes in 3 battleground states, that would have been enough.
That's what I think.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very painful, this whole subject, because the preoccupation with the character flaws of Donald Trump, my own position is that they pale in comparison to Joe Biden and what he did to enrich himself and his family while in public office in the United States. Did you see the latest series of lies? I mean, also, the Washington Post, I think, what did they show? 2,500 or 25,000, I don't remember the crazy number, of Trump lies. But they too pale in comparison to Joe Biden.
Well, the Washington Post stopped doing their presidential lie tracker the minute that Joe Biden got into office.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Fascinating.
And, the thing about Donald Trump was that he's up front. He uses hyperbole. He's a New York guy. Everyone knows he's not pretending they don't understand, knows the way he talks, and big noting himself, etc. But it's a completely different category from the pathological lies that you get from a deeply dishonest man who is Joe Biden. I mean, he's been caught plagiarizing. He lies about everything all the time.
Tell people about the lie about how the tragedy of his family's car crash.
Oh, well, I mean, that's just so awful. You know, no one takes away from him the fact that there was a great tragedy in his early marriage to his first wife. She was killed in a car crash, and Hunter Biden and his older brother Beau Biden were badly injured. They were aged 2 and 3. So that is a tragedy. But Joe Biden has milked it for all it's worth. I still don't see, there's a photograph he has uses in all his campaigns of him being sworn in at the bedside of his injured little boys. He could have done that outside.
Well, I'm referring to, didn't he blame the other driver?
Oh, yes. So the car crash was his wife had pulled out into an intersection and was T-boned by a big truck, I think, carrying logs. The truck driver was tested at the scene. He had not been drinking. He was completely blameless. He was very shaken. And so Joe Biden then, in the subsequent years, started telling the story that he was drunk. And then as the years went by, he embellished it and embellished it.
I just want people to understand he ruined this man's life by lying about him when it was not his fault, but Biden, who I believe has no conscience. I truly believe that.
No.
And just kept saying this man was a drunken driver.
Yes, and it took after the man died for his daughters to come forward and beg Joe Biden to stop doing it, and I think threaten legal action. That shut him up finally. Yeah.
What's the latest one about his his brother getting a Purple Heart or something? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, he claimed the other day that he gave his Uncle Frank a Purple Heart from the Korean War, I think. Now, his Uncle Frank never got a Purple Heart. His Uncle Frank was dead before he became vice president. So was his father, who he claimed.
Now, I just want to wait. Forgive me, Miranda. I just want to emphasize here the lies are so grandiose as to beggar the imagination of the listener. He claimed that this man was given a Purple Heart, but or whatever. Or I think that was the award, and it was asked for, but he was already dead. Yes, just for the right, not posthumously. It was not a posthumous medal.
No, but left people, which people are doing, they excuse Joe Biden because they say, oh, well, he's getting old.
The Washington Post used the word incorrect, not lie.
Exactly. But this is a pattern of his entire life. I mean, back when he was in the 80s, when he was running for president, and his whole campaign was derailed by the plagiarism, he was poking people in the chest and lying to them and saying on camera that he was top of his class and he won 2 scholarships and, all this, I'll put my IQ up against yours. He was like bottom of the class or close to the bottom. He never got these scholarships he lied about. The man has been lying and telling tall tales his entire life. This is just as natural to him as breathing. And perhaps now that he's older, he's not quite as good at covering it up.
Yeah, well, of course, the worst part is the press.
Yeah.
That's the frightening part, and that people don't know what's happened here. Miranda, it's always a joy to have you. I'd like everybody to know about her important book, Laptop from Hell, and read you regularly in the New York Post. Merry Christmas to you, Miranda.
You too, Dennis. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Be well.
The Dennis Prager Show.
Hi, everybody. Dennis Prager here. I spent the middle hour talking about people who will be having Christmas dinner but not with their family because their kids won't allow them to see the grandkids because the parents are Republican or voted for Trump or conservative or Christian or what have you. If that is not dispositive about the meanness that leftism creates, then nothing will be. We don't have a mirror image on the right. Conservative kids who won't go to their parents for Christmas, who won't let the parents see the grandchildren because the grandparents are voted for Biden. And there's much less moral justification for Joe Biden than for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a good man compared to Joe Biden. And that's if you care to look at reality. The damage Joe Biden has done to this country, there was no damage done by Donald Trump to this country. What was the damage done? Damage done to the left, but what damage was done to the country? Did we have open borders? Do you really believe tens of millions of people coming into America is a good thing for America? Do you believe that cutting off our independent sources of energy and depending on Saudi Arabia or Venezuela for oil is a good thing, or Russia for that matter? At least the Europeans depending on Russia, when they could have been getting oil from us? Wow. And then I read to you about the college students. Listen to this. A majority of students identify as LGBTQ at 3 out of the 159 campuses. 51% at Oberlin, 61% at Wellesley, 70% at Smith. Out of the 3 liberal arts colleges, the latter 2 are notably for women only. Yes. That's the power of the environment to affect especially female sexuality. What is the percentage of high school girls and even some elementary or middle school girls who say they're boys? Much higher than boys who say they're girls. The damage the left has done to females is beyond belief, including heterosexual females. You don't need a man. Nah. You don't need a family. Nah. All right, everybody. I'm going to see you tomorrow. I want to remind you a beautiful gift for Christmas or Hanukkah is the beautifully printed The Rational Bible, my attempt to explain the most important books ever written. Dennis Prager here. Thanks for listening to the Daily Dennis Prager Podcast. To hear the entire 3 hours of my radio show, commercial-free, every single day, become a member of Pragertopia. You'll also get access to 15 years' worth of archives, as well as the daily show prep. Subscribe at pragertopia.com.